Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to see you again in today's news program. Here, we and you will share and interact with the latest news and hottest events that are of interest to the public at home and abroad. Details will be available shortly.
On September 15th, according to the Global Times, China responded to the statement of U.S. Special Envoy Ket Kinloch that the conflict in Ukraine would end quickly if Beijing withdrew its support for Russia. Specifically, Mr. Lin Jian, a spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, stated that China has always maintained an objective and fair stance on the conflict in Ukraine and is committed to promoting peace negotiations. Mr. Lin added that most countries, including the U.S. and Europe, continue to trade with Russia. Normal exchanges and cooperation between Chinese and Russian enterprises comply with the rules of the World Trade Organization, WTO, and market principles are not aimed at any third party and are not subject to any third party's interference or influence. Regarding the Trump administration's call for sanctions against China, Mr. Lam called it a typical unilateral economic bullying and coercion that seriously undermines international trade rules and threatens the security and stability of the global industrial and supply chain. Mr. Lam said that the facts have proven that pressure is unpopular and will not solve the problem. China's stance on the Ukraine crisis is consistent and clear. Dialogue and negotiation are the only viable way out. He added that we firmly oppose some parties turning this issue on China, and we firmly oppose the imposition of illegal unilateral sanctions and jurisdictional relief on China. Mr. Lam affirmed that China will take firm countermeasures if its rights and interests are infringed upon. Earlier at the Janta IES European Strategy Conference in KF on 13th, Mr. Kinloch, special envoy of U.S. President Donald Trump on Ukraine, called Russia a junior partner of China and said that Moscow is losing the conflict in Ukraine.mr. Kinloch also emphasized the importance of support from China and to a lesser extent from North Korea for Russia. Mr. Kinloch said the Chinese have economic power, they have military power, they have a clear history and leadership. I think if China cuts off support for Russia today, the conflict will end tomorrow. Also, according to Mr. Kinloch, if Russia is doing well, they will not need to send 10,000 North Korean soldiers to fight in the fields, Sumy, and other places. That shows that the Russian army also has problems with manpower and combat. Over the weekend, Russian media outlets shared a video of the Kh-38 strike of the Ukrainian Army's 57th Mechanized Brigade. According to the video posted by Voenronica, while conducting a reconnaissance mission over the city of Vance in the Kharkiv Ukrainian province, the Russian military's UAV discovered an industrial zone inside the city that was being used as a base by the enemy's 57th Mechanized Brigade. After receiving the target coordinates from the UAV, the Russian military used the Kh-38 air-to-ground missile to attack the enemy's troop concentration. The attack immediately created a large explosion that engulfed the building. According to Missilary, Kh-38 is an air-to-ground missile that Russia has put into service in the military since the early 2010s. Kh-38 is 4.2 m long, 0.31 m in diameter, has a wingspan of 1.14 m, and weighs 520 kilograms, including a 250 kilograms warhead. The range of Kh-38 is 70 kilometers with a flight speed of 2.2 times the speed of sound mass 2.2, or more than 750 meters per second. The flight range of the missile is between 200 and 12,000 m.
The current Russia-Ukraine conflict is dominated by drones, but besides the air war, another fierce race is underway: ground robot technology. In a Soviet-era arms depot just a few kilometers from the front line in Donetsk province, welding rockets flash as Ukrainian engineers assemble metal frames for a ground robot called an Unmanned Ground Vehicle, UGV. This equipment is being deployed for missions on the front line. Alexander, platoon commander of the ground robot complex of the Oneres battalion of the Rubit Brigade, observed the engineers working and said, "We want the brigade to be recognized and for people to understand the significance of this." Currently, his platoon only owns a few ground robots. The rest, built by his team, have been handed over to other brigades or special units. These machines were born as the conflict entered its fourth year. Ukraine is stuck in a fierce war of attrition with Russia. Currently, Kyiv is increasingly relying on technology to preserve its forces. Work in Alexander's workshop is continuous and requires constant improvisation. New UGVs delivered from the manufacturer are often equipped with analog communication systems that are easily jammed by Russia. Alexander explained, "Battlefield conditions set their own rules, and we are forced to convert entirely to digital control." His team disassembles the machine, welds new frames, redesigns wiring, installs Starlink, LTE networks, or pre-encrypted digital links before testing and deployment. These upgrades make the robots more adaptable but also increase costs. Converting a UGV can cost from $750 to $1,000, not including hardware and Starlink service fees. In addition, maintenance must be carried out continuously. Alexander said this is a mechanical system that bears a very heavy load. After each mission, they all need maintenance. Once upgraded, ground robots are specifically designed to meet the most urgent needs on the battlefield. Some are equipped with remote drop systems to transport food, ammunition, or medical supplies to the front line without exposing soldiers. Others carry antenna masts to relay information, attach electronic warfare modules, or perform casualty evacuation missions. According to Alexander, UGVs can also be equipped with remote-controlled turrets or mortars. Speed is a vital factor. Alexander said, "Just reaching 15 kilometers per hour is very fast. On difficult terrain, it's hard to maintain such speed without overturning or hitting obstacles. Maintaining 8 to 10 kilometers per hour is acceptable." However, their main role is still logistics and evacuation. Units limit daytime deployment because they are easily detected and eliminated by Russian kamikaze UAVs. Connectivity is also a constant concern. If a robot loses signal while carrying a casualty, both the machine and the person could be stuck in an exposed battleground. Alexander explained, "The UGV runs to the trench or bunker, drops off supplies, and then withdraws. No one has to be exposed, neither the soldiers in the trench nor the remote operator." Ukraine's use of unmanned systems has changed the way warfare is conducted on land, at sea, and in the air. The drone wall, a multi-layered defense network using UAVs, has helped Ukraine counter Russia's attrition attacks, including motorcycle assaults aimed at breaking through defensive lines. As the kill zone expands to more than 15 kilometers from the front line, thanks to the proliferation of UAVs, the demand for UGV deployment on the front line is increasing. The most dangerous task right now is simply moving in and out of combat positions where Ukraine suffers the most casualties. Losses in logistics and evacuation missions are so heavy that many units have run out of pickup trucks. Fiber optic guided UAVs, which are difficult to jam, are increasingly hunting every vehicle near the front line. Colonel Konstantin Kumas of the Ukrainian Medical Forces said, "Almost all of the injury cases we receive now are related to UAVs. Ground robots are taking on the majority of logistics and resupply missions to the front lines, reducing the need for soldiers to drive into dangerous areas or for UAV units to deploy heavy aircraft like the Baba Yaga to drop supplies for soldiers in trenches." By December 2024, Ukraine had conducted its first fully robotic attack on Russian positions. However, ground robots are still vulnerable to UAVs, especially during the day. They can also be used as suicide weapons, crashing into enemy trenches or supply bridges to detonate or destroy them, as well as performing mine-clearing missions. In the future, soldiers predict that robots will also take on air defense duties, becoming mobile gun turrets on the battlefield to shoot down UAVs/drones. Earlier this month, the 28th Mechanized Brigade announced what they called the first air defense UGV. It is a remote-controlled ground robot carrying a 9K-38 Igla shoulder-fired missile to eliminate low-flying targets while keeping the operator safe. After several years of fighting, Moscow has learned from many mistakes, leading Russia to also accelerate the development of its ground robot fleet. Last month, a Russian media report showcased a UGV equipped with 4 thermobaric rocket launchers. Ukrainian leaders hope to deploy at least 15,000 robots by the end of 2025. However, Russia is also trying to innovate and deploy ground robots. Using unmanned systems for similar functions, Ukrainian brigades are constantly experimenting with new roles for UGVs on the battlefield. from air defense to attack and one-time interception missions. Serhiy Kuzan, chairman of the Center for Security and Cooperation in Ukraine and former advisor to the Ministry of Defense, believes that Ukraine's adaptation to robotic technology is accelerating and their use on the battlefield will significantly increase in the near future. Elgin, commander of the UGV unit of the 92nd Assault Brigade, said that in the future, we want ground robots to take on air defense roles, equipped with gun turrets to shoot down enemy UAVs, paving the way for other forces to advance. Commander Elgin added, "We even have to deal with FPVs hunting UGVs at night. Thermal cameras are not a big problem because electric UGVs emit very little heat. Units on the front lines are developing technology in a different direction." Mr. C, nicknamed El Grico, from the 3rd Assault Brigade, said that their main tasks are still logistics and medical evacuation. He said, "To expand into attack or fire support, we need to reduce costs and simplify operations. Some new robots are being improved for suicide missions." According to Mr. Kostat, these suicide UGVs are only equipped with Sting warheads when targeting high-value targets such as tanks. Ruslin, a UGV operator from the Bulava Battalion of the 72nd Mechanized Brigade, revealed that robots are often guided by a Mavic UAV flying overhead because the infrared camera mounted on the vehicle is easily detected by night vision devices and can become a beacon for the enemy. For that reason, according to this soldier, they often avoid using them because they are too easily detected and destroyed, and losing signal can be as dangerous as being hit by bullets. Andriy, commander of the Bulava Battalion, said that electronic warfare is a constant challenge due to too many units operating in the same area, each carrying its own jammer. Vitaly Goncharov, former chairman of the Ukrainian Artificial Intelligence Committee, noted that the challenging terrain and very different technical requirements make the development of effective AI systems for UGVs an even more difficult problem. In reality, simple solutions such as attaching fiber optics to UGVs can be more effective and address immediate challenges.